This is my video and demo on the virtualization final project that we've been working on here. Here's my entire environment. You can see that my ESXi servers, for some reason, the DNS name was not working properly for this, so they're just their IP addresses, which I guess I could manually just change their name, but I never did. And also, you can see that they got the warnings on them. That's because I did not um, turn off the shell or the command line ability yet, which I will do as soon as I am done with this. But well, we start with explanation on the entire environment here. So we have the one cluster, which is the high availability and the distributed resources cluster. I have all my ESXi servers under there and all the VMs that were created. Um, this is so that we can use DRS and distribute the resources between the two ESXi uh, servers, between all the VMs, and give what needs to be or what is required of the VMs, um, and it also for high availability, so that if for some reason one ESXi server is down, the other one can easily take it up. Here is the different networks that I have. The distributed switch, that's that one. Got switch 0, which is the management network. Switch 1, that was the iSCSI network for getting all iSCSI commands and connecting to the FreeNAS server. And then the last one I believe was vMotion. Yeah, the vMotion one, um, the virtual switch to allow for vMotion to work properly. A quick explanation on the reasons for our FreeNAS and then also our Windows shares. The FreeNAS server was used to give us a storage pool that could be connected via iSCSI and commands could be sent to it. And that one is for the VM or the virtual machine files and anything that comes with the virtual machine like configurations and stuff is all on the FreeNAS server. So that's where that's our database for that. The Windows shares were made for the individual VMs when you logged into a um, user from the domain. You could access, their work share, as I'll demonstrate later. So some quick demonstrations here. I'll demonstrate the migration um, of a VM. As we can see here, the engineering uh, Windows machine is currently on my ESXi 1 server, and we're gonna just migrate it here to the ESXi 0. Real quick, we'll go to the engineering one. I'll show the data store is currently FreeNAS iSCSI. It is on the distributed switch, and that was all I think I had to show. And we'll just quickly migrate it to the ESXi 0 right there. Next. Sure. Finish. As you can see at the bottom, it's currently moving it even while it's still on, and you shouldn't lose any uptime there. And there it is. Now it is on the ESXi 0 server. Alright, I'm here on the engineering VM. I'm logged in as Edward, uh, who is part of the engineering group on the domain. As you can see here, the E drive is already set to the share, or actually the R drive, my bad. E drive on the SMB is already set up. As you can see, we have groups and homes. I can access groups. I can access engineering, and I can get into the test. Uh, and then if I try to get into sales, access is denied. So that's all working as it should be. Now let's go to the internet. Okay, here we are, access onto the engineering machine. Again, I went in and I connected to the DNS name of my load balancer. Widescreen this. And you can see I can access the website, and if I were to reset here a couple times, you can see it has changed node. Do it again. Yep, back. I can add things here. Oop, 05. Oh, doesn't like my using the numpad. Alright, there we go. Can add it, and then I can refresh and it will show up, you know, on the other node as well. So there it is, all working. Just remove that. Alright, now into the or AWS environment. We had 4 instances that we created. We had 2 web instances, a Bastion instance, and a database instance. The mine are in here somewhere. They're just a little separated because I had to use separate names because terminating some and restarting it. So I got the Bastion here, the web 1 here, web 2, and database. The Bastion was the one that we used to basically connect to our entire environment. Don't know what happened just there. But via our uh, using the VMs, because that was inside the Fox Valley Text network, uh, we used the subnet of management and the security group of management, allowing me to connect via PuTTY and be able to uh, get into the command line, and then I could SSH into our web ones, which then I could, do what I needed to do. And the web one was connected to the public security group and the public subnet. This would allow for us to be able to access the public IP on the web, so we could get to the website, but also have the private IP that we could connect to via SSH to edit the servers. And then the last one was the database one. This one is on our uh, private subnet and on the private security group. This means that it only had the private IP address. It's because we only needed it to connect between the web servers on the database cred file, that it needed to basically reroute to this server to get all the information that it needed to display on our web page or our web app. And then we had our load balancer. This just allowed so that it could, I'd connect to the DNS name of the load balancer, and it could easily balance the load between our 2 web servers. So that's what you saw in the earlier demonstration. Alright, lastly, I'll answer a couple questions. So why might an organization build a VMware cluster similar to the one that we use in this project? I think they would build it for the fact that the high availability and DRS and vMotion, having those things is pretty much essential to any bigger bigger environment. It's just if you had a big environment and something went down, it's just an absolute mess. So just creating it like we have it here allows for us to not. There's just less points of failure. There's a lot of redundancy. Uh, it's just high availability. It's just very nice. Why might an organization build an AWS environment the way we did it? I think this works specifically for the fact of um, the web app that we were doing in this demonstration, and this is because having a web app like that, it needs to be up constantly. So, and nothing has higher availability than the cloud does. So that's why I think that an organization would build their AWS environment to that is they would use it for web applications. Why might an organization choose to combine both cloud and on-premise infrastructure? Um, so in the case of the environments that we made, I think that it would most likely be that using VMware is just a little bit more intuitive than using AWS. Having that many, if it was a big environment, having that many instances running in AWS can get pricey because you pay as you use, so you pay for what you use. And if you had to build a huge environment like that, it might be honestly just better to have the more control like VMware does. Um, but that's on a case by case basis. Uh, but then like in this scenario, let's say they had enough VMs and enough employees using them that it would just be better for them to use VMware, just a little bit more intuitive that way. Well, then on the other side of it is what if they had that they also had a web app that they needed to keep running at all times. Um, it would be a little bit of a pain to keep that on premise more than it would be to keep it in AWS because of the high availability issues. You don't have to worry so much about it. You like it going down is not much of a concern when it's on AWS and it's in the cloud. It should be available at all times. So that's why I think that an organization might choose a combination like what we have here. Um, so yeah, and this has been the end of my demonstration of our virtualization infrastructure final. Thank you.